Hello and welcome to the 2024 Spicer Soiree. Today's coverage is brought to you by Mr. Fuji's Daycare. From egg to evolution, Mr. Fuji is with your Pokemon every step of the way. I'm Harry the Cat, and I'm joined again by the lovely Dino Dave.
Harry the Cat, it's great to be here again with you here today on this Spicer Soiree 2024. Let's just dive right into it. We got a lot of trainers in here today ready to compete, and a couple surprises from some trainers coming far away. So let's dive right in and kick us off with our first trainer.
Up first on our list here, we've got Harrison Baxter playing a deck that he's calling the Lugizam Flim Flam, and it is a Alakazam Lugia lock deck. It's a strategy that's as old as Pokemon cards themselves, and this is just the VGLC take on this deck.
You can always count on Mr. Baxter bringing something new to each and every tournament, so I'm excited to see what he brings. Next, we got David Egan with his Alphabet Soup. This is going to be his third time running some form or iteration of this deck, so will this be the time that he can hit the top?
The changing of spices, kind of refining his recipe as he goes. We'll see if he can get some success with this current flavor of Alphabet Soup. Next, we've got Clara Egan, and Clara Egan is bringing a deck that is called Thunder and Lightning. It appears to be a pretty fast lightning and fighting deck, and I think with the change of the format for this tournament to allow multiple types in one deck, we're seeing that trainers are finally branching out into the fighting type in order to combat things like colorless Pokemon and electric Pokemon.
Yeah, I really know for her, it seems like she's really trying to be as efficient as possible, and has definitely picked two of the best types to make that happen. Going into our fourth contestant and fourth trainer, we got Justin Skog, a top two finisher in our first Spicer Soiree, looking like he's playing a similar deck to what he played then, but, adding in with the new format more types with colorless to make things a little bit more consistent, and I think add some strong cards like that Clefable. So he will be running the Wild Explosion Grass Colorless deck today.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Like you said, Justin came in second at the Spicer Soiree in 2023 and then took some time away from the scene in order to travel the world, and then is now coming back with vengeance to the 2024 event. We have last year's winner next, Ian Agner, playing a deck called Perish Zam, which is a Alakazam deck, and then it is also running the Mischievous with the Perish Song Night Eyes combo, and a lot of ways to put Pokemon to sleep and then to bring out this Mischievous and try to one-shot them.
Very interesting, kind of taking the opposite approach to, his runner-up from last year's soiree, Justin, and just diving full in to the two-type split. So let's see how that's going to work out for him here today. Moving on, we have Nick Swenson, another trainer that was with us for that first Spicer Soiree, and, also taking some time off here this past year. Looks like he is, doing a lot of family stuff, and looks like he's been switching up what he likes as a trainer, and he's moving to the grass type with his Status Dream Machine.
Yeah, and this deck looks to be very similar to the deck that Ian took the 2023 Spicer Soiree down with the addition of some of those colorless Pokemon that we've been talking about that really pack a punch. We have also returning competitor Kelsey Solberg. Kelsey is playing her patented Do I Feel Lucky deck, which is her own take on the grass archetype, which, as we've seen, there's a lot of different takes you can take on this archetype, so it's always good to see some diversity in just that single type.
Grass being one of the stronger types, the girl just know what she likes. Next, we got a new competitor. We got Corey Guild, the 4-color copies. This deck I'm really interested to see. I'm not quite sure what I'm expecting, but, bringing in 4 types, into one deck and really taking advantage of this new archetype, I'm here for it.
It should be an interesting deck. There's been talk that maybe the energy base is stretched a little too thin, but if you can draw the right energies with the right Pokemon, it seems like it can pack quite a punch. Next, we've got another newcomer in Sarah Baxter. She is playing her own take on grass again, and this is called the Dank Grass deck. It is a grass deck that focuses on the dark Pokemon.
That's another interesting take. A new spin on grass and just shows why it's one of the, more favored types. And especially with, as we see, no fire in the field, grass has a lot of options and really no downside. Lastly, rounding us out here, it looks like we have Taylor Christensen, another vet of the league and of the circuit, and looks like he is playing his go-to water type, but also splashing secondary type with fighting, trying to capitalize, on that quick attack, quick damage with Hitmonchan, Machop, and, also looking to bring in some of his favorite types and favorite Pokemon with his water.
Yep, and those are our competitors for this event. We've got quite a large field and quite a diversity of decks, so it should be a pretty fun tournament. I think we're going to head over to some of the Swiss rounds to get you some coverage and watch some players sling cards and flip coins.
Cutting over to our first round of Swiss here with Corey Guild and Sarah Baxter. It looks like we are on game 3. Corey is just playing a plus power onto his Hitmonchan. And HT, can you see what Sarah's Pokemon is there? We have some technical difficulties with the lighting.
I'm being told by people on the floor that that is a Neo Genesis Pineco. So I believe it's for 2 energies, it does 30 and 10 to itself.
Dang, okay. Well, it's not in a good spot for where this Hitmonchan is.
No, it looks like Corey's pretty far ahead on this one. So both Corey and Sarah are newcomers to this tournament scene. Sarah is coming from the rural area of Minnesota known as Chaska, Minnesota. And Corey is actually coming all the way from Canada, making him our first international player on the Spicer Soiree circuit.
Oh, don't you know? Coming to us from the Great North. Well, you just love to see the game grow here internationally and these trainers willing to make that commitment to come all the way over here to Spicer. Sarah seems to be in a tight bind here, so looks like we might cut away and see what's happening in another round here on the Swiss.
All right, sounds good. Let's head on over to Taylor Christensen and Justin Scout.
Looks like Hitmonchan is another popular ideal starter for a lot of trainers. I feel like a lot of times you see him getting played is to counter the Clefable Metrodome or just, strong colorless Pokemon.
Yeah, we didn't see any Hitmonchan in any of the other events as we talked about in the last coverage. And we're seeing a lot of it here. I would say probably a third of the field has Hitmonchan in their deck.
Yeah, definitely a strong card, for hitting quick. I think there are a few more trainers for sure that are out there playing it. And with this match, looks like we're seeing in Taylor's hand the invitational card from our latest champion, Harry Baxter. So it looks like Taylor's trying to go with a little damage spread, get that damage on early. Yeah, it looks like Justin wants to keep that Clefable, or that Clefairy around for that Clefable.
Yeah, I think Taylor's kind of bringing in this fighting here to complement that Pillow Swine, which has the Earthquake attack. It's only a natural extension to get in Hitmonchan and then also that invitational card. I heard he also has a Machamp line in his deck, which Machop is a pretty good Pokemon as well. Base Machop is very similar to Hitmonchan with a 1 for 20 attack.
Very much so. And then, unfortunately, it's HC. What you experience there is the Machokes of our current, options are just not that good.
Yeah, agreed. Justin kind of on the back foot here.
Yeah, it looks like the audience is, maybe seeing the writing on the wall. A lot of fans are starting to make their way to the concessions. Maybe start to refresh and move on to that next match.
I kind of like the idea of those fans. Maybe I'm going to head off to the concession stand as well and pick up a soda.
Let's do a quick little 5 here, and let's come back to another match once we get back.
Welcome to the Clarification Corner, where we take trainers' calls to clarify incoming questions. We have a caller on the line here who has a particular question about a card that is very popular within our current meta of the VGLC format. Take it away with your question, caller.
Hi, I'm Joey from Pallet Town, and I have a question about Rocket's Zapdos. My friend said I can't return rainbow energy from my discard pile with Rocket Zapdos' plasma attack, because it isn't an electric energy in my discard pile. But then, later, he told me Rocket Zapdos takes 10 from rainbow energy when doing Electro Burn, because it is a lightning energy when attached to Rocket Zapdos. What's the deal, Clara? Is rainbow energy an electric energy, or is it not?
What a very thoughtful question. Let's dive on into it. What's really cool about rainbow energy is once it's attached to a Pokemon, it can transform into any sort of energy that is needed for that Pokemon attack. So if you attach a rainbow energy to a Rocket Zapdos, it could very well become a electric energy if the trainer so needs it. Now, what's also interesting about that ruling is that it's only a electric energy card while it is attached to said Pokemon. If the rainbow energy is discarded, that then in turn turns it back into a special energy card, and it is no longer a electric energy card. Therefore, if one were to have a card that was able to capture a basic energy card from their discard pile back into active play, rainbow energy does not qualify for that, surprisingly enough. When looking at Rocket Zapdos' second attack, Electro Burn, you can see that you need 3 electric energy cards as well as a colorless card in order to fully power up that attack and be ready to unleash it onto the opposing active Pokemon. Now, there is a clause because, as you can see, 4 energies for 70 hit points is quite high within our current format. So the drawback with that attack is that Rocket Zapdos does damage to itself equal to 10 times the number of electric energies attached to it. Now, one may think rainbow energy is technically special energy. So that wouldn't necessarily qualify for the electric drawback. However, while attached to Rocket Zapdos, it counts as an electric energy. So you most definitely need to count that damage towards Rocket Zapdos.
Thanks for answering my question, Clara. I guess my friends are right.
We must treat a rainbow energy card as a special energy card. So please, trainers, keep that in mind for our upcoming festivities. No cheaters out there.
Alright, heading into our third match, we've got a Alakazam mirror match between Harrison Baxter on the bottom and Ian Agner on top. It looks like Harrison's got a Healing Fields, a Lapras, and the Alakazam Tentacle set up, so basically nothing is happening in this game.
Yeah, it's a race to actually see who can remove the most damage over the course of this match. So I really see this one going to time, but with that, we're starting to see the audience start to fall asleep with this damage removal and damage spread.
Yeah, I see multiple people out in the crowd with pillows and blankets, some alarm clocks getting set for the next round.
What I'm hearing from some of our, behind the stage, prep workers is, Ian was putting this deck together just mere hours, into the, preliminaries and the opening ceremonies for this tournament.
Ian comes from the semi-competitive world of Magic the Gathering, and there's really nothing quite like showing up to something like a PTQ or a Grand Prix the day of with half a deck and hoping that you can get it together. That was a pretty common thing for a while in the Magic world. Ian's just bringing that kind of power to the Pokemon world.
We'll see if it pays off for him. Looks like Harrison with the Alakazam looks like he is starting to take over this game. I say with this HC, let's put a pin in this. I'm ready to go. Let's move on to the next match here, and maybe we can circle back and see if there is more than 10 damage on the board. Cutting over to our fourth match in the Swiss rounds, looks like we have newcomer Sarah Baxter, and one of our competitors has been with us for a while, Claire Egan. In the middle of their match here, looks like Sarah has assembled that dark Crobat combo that we were talking about earlier in the rounds, and a nice bench with Claire Egan just having that Rocket Zapdos and Rocket Hitmonchan.
One of the downsides of this Dark Crobat is if your opponent doesn't play any bench Pokemon, it can be really hard to get the job done with this Crobat because you only get to flip, so many coins. Let's give a shout out to our technical team here for fixing this lighting issue. It is significantly better here for the bottom player to see what is going on.
Oh, absolutely, HC. Thank you for that. And yeah, great job, great team that we have here with us, and great on them for adjusting that here mid-tournament. And I believe, Claire is also another one of those trainers who is also playing, that Hitmonchan, which is a very popular one here today.
Yep. And the Rocket Hitmonchan.
Get him with that 1-2 combo.
Interesting thing, I believe Claire slipped this by our judge, but that is her second supporter. Oh, nope.
Ooh.
They caught her.
The small town girl calling her out. So with that, let's move over to our next round.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Hey, Miltank!
Yes?
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't know. I always end up biting. Ask Mr. Fox, for he's much cleverer than I.
Hey, Eevee! How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Why don't you ask Mr. Turtle, for he's been around a lot longer than I. Me? I bite.
Hey, Squirtle! How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl, for he is the wisest of us all.
Hey, Hoot Hoot! How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
A good question. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3.
If there is anything I cannot stand, it is a smart aleck.
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
Alright, in this round we've got Harrison Baxter on the bottom, taking on Justin Scaug on the top. Justin Scaug is playing his Wild Explosion deck that we've seen him play at other events.
Yeah, and with that, I know he just added a little twist on it with some colorless Pokemon. And, Justin coming out strong here in the middle of this match with that mug. Really mucking things up and turning off Pokemon powers, which is the key aspect of Harry Baxter's deck.
Yeah, it is one of the main ways to beat this deck. Like, we can even see with this board, Harrison's already got the Alakazam Tentacool combo set up, and then that Dark Lugia, which we didn't see on camera earlier in the event, but we heard earlier in the event that players discovered during this tournament that there is actually kind of a soft lock with Dark Lugia and a free retreat Pokemon. So Muck is also shutting that off.
Yeah, really coming in strong here. I know for a fact he was wanting to play that card to disrupt his opponents, even though his deck relies on a Pokemon power. Justin, really trying to plan for that late game and having an out if caught in this situation. It's the healing, and then I'm guessing is going to minimize after this.
Yep. This was a very popular strat in the original Pokemon format. It's called the Scrunch Wall, where you just sat behind a Chansey all day.
Here he's also one of those Pokemon trainers who is a big fan of the, TMs and, Pokemon tools that can boost up his Pokemon.
Yeah, I think in this deck, a lot of those TMs, they make a lot of sense because some of the Pokemon you just have no reasonable attacks, right? So the TM at least lets you do something.
Ooh, looks like some of the contestants or some of the fans are starting to pull out the desserts.
Yeah, I saw someone wheeling around a ice cream cart.
The concession teams are just really doing a great job here at this tournament. Let's check back in here with this match, and let's move on to another one of our matches, and we'll catch up.
All right, sounds good.
All right, checking in here on Dave Egan and Taylor Christensen's match. Looks like Dave Egan starting with that Unknown Eye, already has some damage counters on it. And, Taylor coming out hot with the Power Charm and the Plus Power to knock it out. And then Dave brings out that Slowpoke. HC, where do you think Dave's at right now in this match?
Well, I think that was a pretty surprising knockout to get, because you don't usually see both of those coming out for a plus 20. In this scenario, though, I think this is actually going to be pretty favorable for David Egan because he has this Slowpoke, and its first attack is to return a Pokemon or energy from your discard pile. So he's actually going to get to return that Unknown Eye and then play it to search for another unknown to start building out that unknown chain and find the find combo.
Oh, yeah, great point. And yeah, being able to get those cards back from the discard pile and especially enter the battlefield like that, it's going to be really strong.
This Slowpoke has been a pretty key card in the format in general. It's actually in both of these decks, and it's a pretty unassuming card, but ends up being very versatile, and it can fit in both both water and psychic decks because it's colorless, but there's water and psychic evolutions of it.
Yeah, I feel like Slowpoke and the Slowbro, Slowking, evolution tree, there's a lot of really solid Pokemon within that archetype there.
We saw in his hand that he has a Clefable, the Clefable we were just talking about, and it would be interesting to know why he isn't playing that out.
And Dave has assembled the Find combo. With this HD, I feel like we're going to be seeing a last here, and I feel like at that point, it's going to be, or we're going with the Super Energy Removal.
Oh.
But I feel like T-Streets here is going to be in the lock, and we might just have to move on to our next match and take a little break here.
Yep, I think that Super Energy Removal is really going to wrap it up. And, alright, let's wrap it up as well. Wow, those were some exciting matches we just saw.
Yeah, some great rounds of Swiss here, and just want to give a nice shout out to all of our trainers who came out here internationally and both locally. We will be having Justin and Dave two brothers meeting each other here in the finals, and we'll see what we have and see which one comes out on top.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how those two decks match up against one another. It should be a really exciting final series of games. But before we jump into those games, we're going to take a quick second to hear from one of our sponsors here at VGLC.
Great, let's check it out.
In the beginning, there was just one region, a boundless expanse of terrain with many areas to explore and Pokemon to meet along the way. As trainers set out in exploration, there was one goal at the forefront of their thoughts: to collect them all. With the help of Professor Oak, a tool was created to catalog the many Pokemon these trainers would meet on their adventures. The Pokédex, a marvel of modern engineering, it could identify and catalog any Pokemon it saw, giving its trainers valuable insight into how to catch and master any Pokemon. Soon a new region was discovered, leaving the Pokédex knowledge incomplete. The world awaited a solution.
All right, here we are with our first finalist for our Spicer Soiree 2024 deck tech. We have Justin Skog making another finals table here, and as we were kind of talking about in the player introductions, he is running his Meganium to double the amount of grass energies that he has out on the table, and really trying to link that and pair that with his Executor from the e-reader set to double the grass energies, maybe have the option to pick off any of his opponent's Pokemon either in the active spot or especially on its bench, or looking to maybe discard his grass energies attached to him, get double the value, and then really maximize and capitalize to deal a lot of damage to that defending Pokemon. And also as some backups and to kind of keep his deck consistent, he's running that Lickitung from the jungle set. He's running that Clefable from the jungle set to, keep a lot of strong, maybe basic Pokemon or even evolution Pokemon kind of at bay or in check. And then, also running that Rocket Scyther for some more basic grass Pokemon consistency and stall if needed. But, another interesting kind of card that I like is the Muck. Being able to turn off Pokemon powers, and I don't know if a lot of our grass trainers were playing that here today. And then kind of moving to the trainer set, I think it's kind of a lot of your standard trainer packages. You have your staples, builds, computer searches, energy removals, but, some interesting plays and slots that he's used up here is Fisherman in a grass deck, to maybe go back and get some of those grass energies in case he's getting knocked out early. The Pokemon Breeder, you don't really see that in too many decks, but then, playing Potion, Goldberry, Berry, really trying to heal and keep those Pokemon alive. But then I think one of the most interesting plays here is going to be that Super Scoop Up. I don't know if I've seen that come out into play here in any of our tournaments so far, but of really all or nothing cards. So we'll see if that's going to maybe make a difference here in this finals match.
All right, thanks, Double D. Here we've got Dave Egan on Alphabet Soup. We've seen Dave on Alphabet Soup before, and we've seen his deck featured before in our coverage. This one's a little different. We see that he's really leaned out on the unknown that he's running. He is now just cut down straight to find. And then for Pokemon, we've got some interesting Pokemon in here with a Smeargle. The Smeargle can turn your opponent's Pokemon into a specific type. So that helps you lock out some Pokemon with Unknown D and Unknown N, reducing their damage by 30. We've got the Slowpoke Slowbro combo to kind of buy back some of your find, as we saw in the earlier rounds. And then Dave went with the Dragonite Dark line for this deck, which is like a way to get that Dark Slowbro, and it's also a way to get Dark Espeon. But probably the most interesting part about it is that once you find the Dark Dragonite, or Dragonair, the Dark Dragonair can find the Dark Dragonite, and the Dark Dragonite is another fan club. So it's another way to build out that find combo. Moving to the trainers, we see that, like with most of the decks, we heard in the early deck tech, he's running kind of a lot of the staples that you have to run in most of these decks, like the Bills and the Professor Oaks and the Computer Search. Some of the trainers that are more specific to the Alphabet Soup deck, like Challenge and Rune Wall. But here we've got some interesting takes on XP All. XP All isn't a card that we've seen either. It's a tool that lets you move energies to bench Pokemon when your active Pokemon are knocked out, and it's a pretty interesting card. It's probably, the thought is you have to really sink a lot of energies into these like Lugia, Rocket Mewtwo, Dark Dragonite, so when they get knocked out, you get to bring energies to the next attacker you're bringing out and kind of speed up the process of building that up. Other than that, I think we're thinking we're going to find the find combo and then just start hitting players with lasts, super energy removal, item finder to get back super energy removal, rocket sneak attack, and stuff like that to really put the clamps on people. And with that, let's move into the finals where we can see these two decks in action.
Thanks, HC. Hell of a finals here. It's been a hell of a tournament, and it's two brothers going up against each other here in this final match. So, I know there's been some contentions here between these two brothers. So, let's see which one will come out on top here today.
Yeah, I believe we talked about this at the Labor Day event, but in the last Spicer Soiree, David Egan lost out to the finals with to Justin Scout with tiebreakers. So I'm sure he was really looking forward to this rematch.
For sure. He would have been a 3-time top 2 finisher, but looks like he's really dialed in. He's had a lot of great rounds here in the Swiss and then leading into the semis. So I'm excited to see how these two decks are going to interact.
Me as well. I think Justin here on the bottom is probably going to be looking to find that muck. I know it doesn't shut off all of the unknowns, but it does shut off Unknown F.
Which is the key one for sure. And that's the one that gets, the whole focal point of the find.
So it looks like Dave's got a kind of a slow start here. He's getting Rocket Sneak Attack, but he has none of the unknown yet.
Whoa, excuse me there, HC. Excuse me. Yeah, no Psychic to start here and no unknown, so Justin might have a chance here.
Let me wipe off my display monitor quick there so I can see these cards
Yeah,
again.
my apologies. Can we get some help in here?
Alright, thanks. Alright, we're back at it. We'll read there on an XP All. This is the first time we're seeing this card as well. Can you tell us a little bit about why David chose to play XP All?
Yeah, HC, when talking with him, it just seemed like that card was a nice way to bounce back after a knockout, you know, taking a basic energy from that active Pokemon and putting it onto that bench Pokemon where that XP All is on. So just a nice way to kind of bounce back. You don't lose all those resources, and, you know, you're kind of ready after that knockout to try to even things back out.
Makes sense to me. This game frequently comes down to energy resource game.
You know, a vocal point of why, you know, super energy removal is such a hot topic after those Swiss matches.
Even going into the finals, we saw it be very strong in the first round of the semifinals. Let's see if it comes up here as well.
Even right now, it looks like David Egan, with the two bench Pokemon, he's just either abandoned the unknown combo, or he's just trying to do what he can with that Rocket's Mewtwo and that Lickitung having resistance to Psychic.
Yeah, the resistance and weakness, this is the first tournament where this is coming into play, and it has been a big deal. We've seen those Psychic Pokemon be pretty weak to a lot of colorless floating around. We also saw that a lot of trainers were playing fighting cards this time, which we have seen none of in any of the other events.
Very much so. It looks like we're getting a Dark Dragonite that has not been a very prevalent card for David here this tournament, but Justin hitting on 4 licks in a row. You know, he's got to be feeling good about where he's at in the match. Number 5, and the dominant forcing that Pokemon to the side.
Someone check that coin. He must be using Ian Agner's up-down coin.
It looks like Ian does have that in his possession, so this is his own witchcraft or wizardry that he's using here.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever taken that up-down coin. I have never heard confirmation of whether or not that coin has 2 different sides. I don't know that anybody's seen both sides of it, actually.
I think you might be right there. We might have to double check on that, the legality of that coin.
Speaking of coins, I'm looking for some new coins myself. You got any hot leads, Dino Dave?
Yeah, Harry the Cat, you know, what are the great spots here to go pick up some new coins, dice, anything you need for your TCG, VCGLC cards would be at Celadon Department Store here in the largest shop at the Kanto region. So please come on down, check it out. It's one of the great spots to be.
Nice, okay. One thing I picked up on a little bit earlier that I'm wondering if Dave is realizing is Dave has been playing energies on this Eevee, so he clearly has the evolution somewhere in his deck, or he wouldn't have been continuing to play energies on it, but he played a Dark Dragonair and didn't search for the evolution. Do you think that was a misplay, or do you think that was intentional?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, it could be looking in the hand there. It doesn't look like he has it, so it's either in his prizes or for some reason he is either missing his triggers or he's maybe waiting to play the Dark Dragonite and then get the Eevee to trigger off of that. Looks like we did go tutor up for it.
You're right. Well, then you gotta assume he missed it, right?
Yeah, that has to be the assumption, I would believe. So it looks like, David, with Dark Dragonite, you get to go search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, and then looks like he got F and D, had the I, and then went and got the N. So a nice comeback here for this deck in the soup.
Yep.
Let's see if Justin can hold off.
So what do we think he's going to be finding here? Is it a big draw spell? It doesn't look like a super energy removal is what he wants with that Dark Espeon out there.
I feel like right now with this board, I feel like you probably go for the last if you have it, and you try to lock out, any hope of Justin coming back.
Fair enough. Yep, and you were right.
There it is.
Ooh, and a lot of
that is a
there.
4 for 1. It looks like David is getting rid of 4 as well.
But as we all know, the Unknown deck doesn't care about getting rid of any of those, because next turn, he will be fighting to draw 7.
He will. He will. One of his professors will get him to the promised land. So right now, it looks like Justin's checking his clock here, checking on time, seeing if he has enough time for a game 2.
Yeah, Justin came out pretty hot here, but hadn't really done a lot recently. He's still just riding that Lickitung.
And that's I think Lickitung is one of the better basic Pokemon, especially in this Safari Zone format that you can play because it goes in any deck. But I think a drawback of that card is, that mid to late game when it's stuck out there. How do you get it out?
Yep, yeah, it does have a 3 retreat, and like we talked about in one of the earlier matches, it doesn't have really a second attack, so you can't transition into trying to just take larger chunks from your opponent at any point.
And it looks like Dave went for a computer search into a darkness energy. And Justin got a super scoop up, a very risky card. I don't think we saw too many trainers running that today. It is an all-for-nothing scoop up, but if you do get the heads, you do get to take all cards that were attached to that Pokemon and put them into your hand as well.
That's a baller move. I don't know that I would have the gumption to run a super scoop up.
Sometimes these, younger generations just play fast and loose, and, he's really trying to show his elder brother who is the better Pokemon trainer.
Well, when you open with 5 heads on a Lickitung Lick, I think you're on the top of the world. You probably just jam any trainer that causes a coin flip at that point, right?
Yeah, you just run it. It's,
in the NBA, they call that a heat check, I believe. And
yes.
Right now,
I would...
Justin is Michael Jordan.
Or LeBron James. Everybody has their GOAT, but, that is a topic for another time. We're looking here. It looks like Dave's going to deal 30 damage to this Scyther. Well, it looks like we're having a conversation here. I think we are discussing Rocket Scyther's first attack and Dark Espeon's attack and the legality of it.
Does it prevent the damage because it's not only attacking the Rocket Scyther?
Yes, I believe that is what they are talking about. But, how the card reads, you have to initiate that attack, and then it just, would so happen to affect all Pokemon on your opponent's bench that have energy, so it looks like a Gust of Wind came out anyways.
The interesting thing is that with that Gust of Wind, he could have then just done the attack, because with Rocket Scyther on the bench, the smoke screen is no longer in effect.
Correct.
But I'm sure he wants to get this Grimer off the board as quickly as possible, fearing a Muck coming out. Justin holding on to a Gust of Wind here. Could have been a turn to Gust of Wind. Pull out one of the Unknown and paralyze it, I believe. Is that, especially with him flipping heads so often, right?
Oh, correct. Yeah. And it looks like he's just lacking on the energies, but yeah, I feel like you bring out, maybe even like the Dragonite, or you bring out something else. Well, probably one of the Fines, right? Because you want to break up that combo, and you just don't want to have them keep getting that.
Right. Yeah, I think if he brings out the Dragonite, the Fine combo can just find a Balloon Berry or a Switch. I'm not sure if that's come out yet.
Kind of an interesting match, you know. Justin coming out to a strong start, flipping 5 heads in a row for 5 licks, just up and down that defending Pokemon. But, you know, that soup fine combo just, you know, is just a very strong, you know, matchup for Dave. And the Team Rocket's gym, all dark Pokemon getting 20 more HP.
Interesting. We saw a couple trainers playing that this event. A little more popular. I know Dave was the only one playing that at the Labor Day Players Tournament.
You know, it seems like a very strong card, you know, especially with the dark Pokemon having a lot of, you know, very strong attacks, and, you know, it just kind of seems like a no-brainer.
Yep. And kind of the flip side of the plus power, right? Plus power is so good because sometimes 10 is just enough to get you there. Well, this is plus 20.
Absolutely. To all dark. So it looks like Dave comes away there with game 1.
Well, as the players shuffle up to get ready for game 2, we're going to take a quick second to talk about a new docuseries coming to Netflix this fall, starring none other than VGLC newcomer Sarah Baxter.
Oh my goodness, like, Clefairies are legit my absolute faves. I'm totally obsessed with spreading the magic of fairy Pokemon to everyone I meet. It's like my mission in life.
There are more captive Clefairies in the Kanto region than there are in the wild throughout the world.
Sometimes you just need a Clefairy to spice up the scene, you know. Our Clefairy's got your back.
You never stop and think, do they like living in cages?
These officers have seized more than 1,000 Clefairies from a location in the Kanto region today, with reports indicating that a large number of them were severely malnourished.
Oh my goodness, can you believe it? Like, seriously, why are they taking all my beautiful
Alright, looks like Dave is ready to roll. Ooh, Justin having to mulligan. You never like to see that when you're already down a game.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate too, because I know his deck is running a lot of basic Pokemon, and as we've seen in these final matches, a lot of mulligans off the bat.
Yep, he did get his Rocket Scyther, which is probably where he wants to start this match.
Yeah, I think if you're running grass, that's probably one of your favorite starting Pokemon.
Yep, Rocket Scyther, maybe Koga's Tangela.
All right, off the bat, computer searching.
Ooh.
Ooh, looks like there was 2 N's.
Or 2 unknowns in his prizes?
Or 2 unknowns, yeah.
Ooh. How will he pull this one out?
Well, there's that nightly garbage run in Justin's hand, you know.
Oh, he's
that was a
running
very
both.
hot card in our first soiree.
Yeah.
Oh, recycle energy. Interesting.
What do you think we computer searched for? Was it Bill's maintenance?
I would guess either that recycle energy or... I feel like you don't... I don't feel like for computer search, I don't think you get the
Just
maintenance.
a random draw card? Yeah.
Like, I feel like with that, you either go for, like, the oak or the elm, or, you know, you gotta... He already knew what was in his prizes there, but, you know, I feel like... I see. So, yeah, he must have gotten the recycle energy, and then to save his resource, yeah, super energy removal.
Alright, Justin doing some more building up. We see the Executor on his bench there. That's kind of the namesake card of this deck with the Virginium.
Yeah, him and that Meganium do like kind of a 1-2 combo, with Meganium doubling all of its grass energies, and then basically Executor can hit for massive amounts to the active Pokemon with discarding those grass energies, or dealing a good amount based on the number of energies attached to it to bench Pokemon. So it's a very versatile green Pokemon.
Yep. And we did see the Pokemon Trader, so it looks like that is the line he's trying to set up here. Pretty starved on resources, though, so he's going to have to get it before Dave really gets things rolling.
And it looks like Dave went with, you know, the Slowpoke to attack quickly as he saw Justin was abandoning the Scyther.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we drew the Town Volunteers, so 2 garbage runs.
That's not what you want to see here to try to get back into this match.
No, it is not. Maybe he'll rip a computer search and he can turn both of those into a Professor Oak. Dave just rifling through cards up top, playing supporter after supporter after supporter. Oh, into an item finder. Into a super energy removal.
Super energy removal. So just another reason to put that card on the watch list, with already playing multiple supporters, turn after turn, and then super energy removal soon after. Justin can just not stabilize.
Ooh, and the last
and then
for
the last.
Robins. Oh, at least we got a draw 5.
All right, now he's back into the game, but now it looks like all Dave has is Dark Lugia.
Yep, so I think this is a topic that came up as well that I think the Rules Committee is going to try to address in the future here, but we have what happens when there's a Dark Lugia and no Pokemon on your bench? Does he just get to fire off 60 damage every turn with a free Gust of Wind?
Yeah, as a trainer myself, I feel like that's a very strong attack, and, I hope the Rules Committee definitely takes it into consideration, because, as you saw right there, he could bring out whatever he wanted, and then, just knocked out Justin's Clefairy.
Brother, my brother, tell me what are we fighting for? We got to end this war.
And that's
there it is. So we have a new champion for our Spicer Soiree, and, HT, I'd like to thank you so much for being here with me today, and, best of round to all of our trainers here that came out.
Yep, it was riveting to watch. Dave went back to the soup again and finally came up with a full ladle.
And you gotta hope now, he finally retires that recipe and, moves on to something new.
Well, we'll see what the future can bring. I know right now we're going to cut to a special promotion about the next upcoming event. I'm pretty excited. I hope you are too.
Tell me what good is winning when you lose your heart. Brother, my brother.
This is Ash. Who's calling?
Here, I'm over here. Ash, it's Professor Oak. Don't you recognize me?
No, Professor. I didn't recognize the back of your head.
Hey? Oops, wrong camera. There. I just spoke with your mother, and she tells me you made it to the Pokemon Center in Viridian City. Is that correct?
You better believe it.
Well, that's awesome, and just in time for school to start.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get back to school and learn even more about Pokemon.
Well, I'm excited to have you back in the class.
Hey, what's going on? Giovanni!
Hello, Ash. I hope I'm not interrupting.
What do you want?
Just a little bit of your time. 12 months to be exact.
Gas!
That's right. School is cancelled until further notice. No more school means no more Pokemon trainers, and without Pokemon trainers, Team Rocket will be free to catch and collect all the Pokemon without you and your pesky peers getting in our way.
You monster!
Mwahahahahaha. That's right, baby. Get ready.
Wow, that sure sounds terrifying. I wonder what kind of evil things Giovanni has in store for us at the Labor Day event.
Well, HC, anything is possible when the leader of Team Rocket himself is, starting to put his own fingers and his own, image on this upcoming event. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But, with that and a new champion here at our Spicer Soiree 2024, we have a new invitational card that will be previewed. And with that, we have Dave's Dark Dragonite. With this, it is a darkness Pokemon with 70 HP. And with the first text and first option here on the card, we have Pokemon Power Golden Promise. So once during your turn, before your attack, you may return an energy from your discard pile to your hand, then discard an energy unless a dark energy was returned this way. And then obviously this power doesn't work if it is asleep, confused, or paralyzed.
Wow, that sounds like a really interesting Pokemon power. I know there's a lot of Pokemon out there that this would be really interesting to pair with in deck construction, so I'm already excited about this card for that. I can't wait to hear what the rest of the card has to bring.
So then it also looks like here with the first attack, we have Intimidating Gaze. So with this attack, it's going to deal 30 damage. And then you're also going to look at your opponent's hand, and you can have them shuffle back any basic or evolution Pokemon from their hand back into their deck. And then lastly, looks like we have for 2 dark, 1 colorless, 40 damage, we have Dragon Roar. So that is a 40 plus attack, and you may discard a dark energy attached to Dave's Dark Dragonite, and if you do, this attack does 20 more damage.
Yeah, just an interesting card all around, and I'm sure that our play group will be very interested to see this card and talk about it and build with it in upcoming events.
And, another new fun card to add to our Champion series.
Alright, Dino Dave, well, it's been a pleasure doing this commentary with you, and as always, I look forward to the next time our paths cross and we can talk about this exciting format.
Yeah, thanks again, HC. Really appreciate you being here with me today, and yeah, definitely look forward to the next one and seeing what our trainers bring to that tournament. Thank you all for joining us. Signing off, you got Dino Dave
and Harry the Cat.
I wanna be the very best.